Hi everyone. So in this part I'll cover the next part of the chapter. So since I'm covering entire chapter, covering each and every examples, so it is taking a little bit of time. But please bear with me and try to focus. Okay, don't lose focus. This chapter is very important from exam point of view. From May 23 exam point of view, it is very important and it's very scoring as well. That's why I'm doing this. And since it comes for around 5 to 10 marks, so including the MCQ, it's very scoring. So don't lose out on that marks trying to running behind those big chapters. Okay, company law they will try to twist here and there, and even negotiable instruments are very tough. Sometimes the case studies, so case questions which are coming. So focus on this chapter very well, and let's continue on. Chapter is extent of the agent's authority. They are telling next thing is fourth part is what is the extent of the agent's authority. The authority of the agent means his capacity to bind the principal to third parties, and agent can bind principal only if he acts within the scope of his authority. Remember, only agent can bind principal only if he acts within the scope of his authority. And the agent's authority, it is determined by the following. It is determined means these are the qualities, these are the parameters by which the agent's authority will be tested. The nature of the act or the business for which he is appointed, and the things which are incidental to the business or usually done in the course of the such business, and usage of trade or business. And this part is okay, these 3 points are okay, very important. But next part is more important than this first part, because the institute know what it is doing. Even in foundation they are asking the points which are innermost, like they are asking points which are sub points, but sub point to sub point they are asking. This is sub point to sub point means in this part they are saying that whatever the nature or the extent of the agent's authority, but it will always include the authority to do the following things. Means that the above things are there. These are by which we can will determine the agent's authority. But agent's authority will always include these 3 things, whether whatever authority is given, but these 3 things will always be included in that authority. Like implied, it's not, even if it is not expressed in the contract, it is implied that these 3 things are always present in the contract of agency. Okay. Now what they are saying is, every lawful thing which is necessary for the purpose of carrying it out, every lawful thing which is justified by various customs of trade. In case of emergency, all such acts for the purpose of protecting the principal from the losses which will be done by which from the losses as done by the person of ordinary prudence in his own case under similar circumstance. Just remember like this. Okay, this is very easy to remember. Just remember, there is 2 things which are every lawful thing which you can do. 2 lawful things you can do. One is necessary for the purpose of carrying it out. Carrying it out means carrying out business for which the principal has appointed him. Second lawful thing what he can do is justified by customs or trade. Next is third one is though it is emergency. It's based on emergency. In case of emergency, what he will do, the agent will do everything possible he can as the person of ordinary prudence can, so that this principal won't suffer any losses. That's what they are saying. In case of emergency, he will do all such acts for the purpose of protecting the principal from incurring any losses, which a person of ordinary prudence will do in similar circumstance. Okay. Next, these are the 2 principles by which the agent authority is governed. In case of normal circumstances, in case of emergency. Okay. In case of normal circumstances, it is similar to this. What we have told in the parameters. No, same thing they have given, including this. Generally, what is included in his agent authority. What is that? That he has the authority to do any act. He has the authority to do any act, has the authority to do every lawful thing which is necessary in order to do such act. Okay. Same thing what we said, no, every lawful thing, and he has the authority to do same thing. Okay. Same as in the course of the business, like that. He has the agent having the authority to carry on the business, has the authority to do every lawful thing necessary for purpose and usually done in the course of conducting such business. You can just write the same thing, 3 points which they have given here, and the agents having authority in case of normal circumstances, which is the 3 things will always be included. Implied authority, no, implied in the agent's authority, that thing you have to write in normal circumstances. What are the examples are there? They are telling, I'll tell you very fast. I'll just explain it. Here, the principal will appoint an agent. If his principal is residing in London and he wants to recover a debt which is due from some person in Mumbai, and he appoints the agent. And the agent, we can do whatever the process, legal process, whatever he can hire goons, he can go to police, he can do whatever process he wants to do, he can do. The process or the man, every they can do every lawful thing. They are telling he can do. Agent can do every lawful thing necessary for the business for which he appointed. In this case, in this example, the principal has appointed the agent to recover the money, recover his debt from the person in Mumbai. No, so he can do every lawful process which he can do in order to recover that money. So, if he may adopt any legal process necessary for the purpose of recovering the debt, and it is valid discharge for the same, it will be considered as valid and it will discharge the contract. Okay. The second, what they are telling, second thing is here the principal will appoint an agent to carry on the business of some shipbuilding. Okay. And here the agent, no, it is implied authority as that he may purchase the timber, other materials, and hire workmen for the purpose of carrying on the business. Because how can the agent do the business if it does not procure the raw materials and the workmen, laborers, staff? He does not have the labors. How will he do the shipbuilding business? So for the purpose of carrying out the business for which he is appointed by the principal, so he will do all this purchase. He will do purchase timber, materials, and hire workmen for purpose of carrying on the business. Okay. Next, agent's authority in case of emergency. This is also very, very important. Okay, listen to this carefully. An agent has the authority in the emergency, same thing what we have told here. In case of emergency, he will do all such act which is necessary for protecting the principal from suffering any losses as the person of ordinary prudence will do. Same thing we can write here. Okay. Purpose of protecting his principal from the losses as done by the person of ordinary prudence in his own case under similar circumstance. But this is the important thing which you should remember. That's why I told this is important. Constitute a valid agency in case of emergency. They can make a case study out of this provision. I'm telling you, please focus. So, constitute a valid agency in case of emergency. Following conditions must be satisfied. See, I don't just jump into a chapter and I'll teach you guys. I've done my homework and I'm teaching you. So please focus when I'm telling something which is important, which can come in exam, because I've even done on my analysis and I've seen the past papers, past trend of the ICAI. Based on my observation and analysis of the past examination questions, I'm telling you from where the ICAI will pose questions. So from that point of view, for your May 23 exams, this is very, very important. This concept is very important. Okay, please focus here. So what they are saying in this agent's authority in case of emergency is to constitute a valid agency in case of emergency, the following conditions must be present. I know agent's authority in case of emergency will do the above things. Person of ordinary prudence will protect principals from losses. But in order to do that, to apply that emergency provision, emergency circumstance, will not apply special authority. No, we had studied extraordinary authority, special, that is agent out of necessity in the modes we had studied. No, to do that act, these following points, following conditions must be there. If one of the condition is not satisfied, then it is not a case of emergency. Please remember, it is not a case of it is not a case of emergency if this for any one of the conditions is not satisfied. Not satisfied, I'm saying. If it is not satisfied, then it is not a case of emergency. Understood. So we'll see what are the conditions for which, if it is all these conditions are satisfied, then it is a case of emergency. All these conditions should be satisfied. I'm telling you, not one condition. All the conditions must be satisfied here. Agent should not be in a position or have an opportunity to communicate with this principal within the time available. I'll explain these conditions with an example in the next part. Okay, listen to this. There should be an actual and definite commercial necessity for the agent to act promptly. The agent should have acted in a bona fide and for the benefit of the principal, and he should have adopted the most reasonable and practicable course under circumstances. And the agent must have been in the possession of the goods belonging to his principal and which are subject of the contract. Okay, so what they're saying is, I will repeat it once again first. Okay, what they're saying is, you should, first of all, you should not be in a position to communicate with the principal within the time available. And next thing, there should be actual and definite commercial necessity to act promptly. Okay, and next, you should have acted in a bona fide and for the benefit of the principal, and you should have adopted the reasonable and practicable course of action in the circumstances, and you should have been in the possession of the goods which belong to the principal, which are the subject matter of the contract. Okay, So these 5 points should be present. These 5 conditions should be present in case of emergency. To be for it to be emergency, these 5 conditions should be present for the circumstance to be an emergency. Okay, for it to be an emergency, these 5 circumstances should be present. So now I'll explain it even better with an example now. I explain example 18 we'll see once, then I'll go to example 17. Example 17 is a very important example from the exam point of view also. It is very one-liner, but that example is important because they have asked one of the case studies or one question had come on that in the previous exams. Okay. I am making one video on past MTPs, RTPs, and one question paper. Okay, of 3 years, last 3 years, with all the questions they've asked with solutions. I'll discuss the question and solution of this chapter, only this agency. Then I'll keep on adding the other laws chapters one by one. Okay, bailment pledge also I'll add. I'll discuss that. So please like, subscribe to the. Okay, now let's focus here. So what they're saying here is in example 18. And this with what they're saying is there is a person, there is a principal. He consigns the perishable goods to his agent at Srinagar. Okay, at Srinagar in the north. Srinagar is there now in Kashmir, with the directions to send them immediately to some person in at Tamil Nadu. See, we'll say it C, to give it to C at Tamil Nadu. From north Srinagar he has to come to Tamil Nadu. So let's suppose assume that he has given apples in Kashmir to give it in to some customer in Tamil Nadu to his agent to so he gives it to his carrier and it will take, let's assume it will take some around 25 days. But what happened is while coming on the way, while transporting, it got delayed due to some unreasonable circumstances, due to some emergency. It took more time. Now it is taking around 30 days for him to reach Tamil Nadu. So now, since it is a apple is a perishable goods, he can sell the apples in the midway. The person who is taking the carrier, no, the person, he can sell the goods in the midway in order to protect the principal from making losses. At least he can make a little bit of profit from that, since he will not to protect his principal from suffering losses. Okay, this case study is very important from exam point of view because they have asked this case study many times in the exams and it has come many times. So this provision you have to mention all these 5 conditions in that exam, which case study if they comes. Then also you have to explain agent's authority in case of emergency, section 189 if you can remember. Okay. You have to write even these 5 conditions for this example. If it comes as a question in your exam, if it comes as a question, you have to write all these 5 conditions. All these 5 conditions are there, you have to write in your exam. Otherwise, they won't give you marks because the validator will check based on the points, key solutions which he has received, and it will be present in the key solution. So whenever the case study on agency by emergency comes, no, agent by emergency, you have to write these 5 points. Please remember that. Okay. Now coming to the example 17, what they're saying here is agent in case, see, suppose agent is given the goods by the principal to sell. Agent has authority to make those goods saleable. Saleable means suppose their goods are damaged. Suppose principal gave his agent to sell a watch and watch was it was not running, so the battery was out, assume. Okay, so the agent can buy a new battery and put it, means he can repair it if necessary. So based on this also one question had come. So both these examples are very, very important from exam point of view. Now it's up to you whether you see this video on 2 3 times and you remember these 5 essentials, 5 conditions, or how you do it. It's up to you now. Next, then coming to sub-agents. What is this in this saying? They're saying is, see, you can refer to any other faculty's video or any other coaching center's video. Instead of that, doing that, anyways, you would have gotten the what we call the ICAI module. You would have gotten the ICAI module. No, you can just open your module. I'm teaching right now. No, just mark the important keywords while I'm teaching, so that you don't have to spend your money on some faculty who is giving you some summary book where you don't even know whether what the points he has written is important points which he has covered is really the points which will be valid for the examiner, the person who is evaluating. At least you will be able to see entire thing in this module and you'll be able to have marked from the module itself. That's why I'm doing this. See, I can also make one summary book and I can also release it. No, it's very easy. I'll also make one PDF of summary book and I can also release that. But right now I'm teaching from the module for you guys because you have anyways have the module. Instead of keeping it on the side and getting it dusted and reading some faculty's book which you don't even know whether it is correct, wrong, or the validator will give you marks for that. Instead, read from the ICAI module and write the points which I'm telling right now, and you can mark the mod in the module itself. You can mark the important keywords which are marked. See, these are the important keywords which are marked. You could have marked in your module itself all this, and you, when you're doing the second revision or third revision, that time you can just put my video, switch, just play my video, and you open the module, and you can just see the things fast. Okay. Let's continue with the next part of the fifth part, subagents. This is very simple, but many times there was case studies from this part. Please focus on this one when I'm teaching right now. Okay, and mark the keywords as I'm teaching. I won't repeat it again and again to mark the keywords, which words I'm marking or keywords. Okay, I don't mark simple things. I'll also mark 2-3 times when I'm teaching also those words. So let's continue now. So what is subagent? Subagent means a person. See, subagent is a person who is employed by and is acting under the control of the original agent in the business of agency. And when agent cannot delegate, when agent cannot delegate, section 190, agent cannot lawfully employ another to perform the acts which he has expressly or impliedly undertaken to perform personally. So these words are important. That agent cannot lawfully employ another person to perform the acts which he has expressly or impliedly undertaken to perform personally. So, for example, an artist. Suppose a person, the principal hires an agent for to perform the certain task like doing an art. It's not like you can assign the doing the art to some other person because he has hired him to do that work personally, or some person to write the book. Principal agent, the principal has hired the agent to write a book, particular book. He has hired him to do that work personally. He can't hire some other person to write that book. Okay, because he has trusted the, see, that's what their fiduciary nature, their contract, the principal and agent's contract is fiduciary in nature. Fiduciary means their contract of trust. So he has trusted the agent that he will do it personally. So the agent cannot delegate the work which he has taken it upon himself to perform it personally, like either expressly or impliedly has taken to perform it personally. Okay, and unless it is in the case of ordinary or custom trade, the subagent may, or from the nature of the agency, subagent must be employed. Okay, unless it is that business, it is ordinary custom to hire some subagent as well. Okay, now analysis, they just explain what is the provision, same thing, but this, what do you call this, Latin maxim is very important. Latin principle is very important. Delegatos non potest delegre, just like that. Face it, I told you in the starting, in the part one. Acting, the person who is acting through the agent is himself acting. I hope you remember that from the part one. Okay, that that same, that what maxim I told you, that how it is important from the MCQ point of view. Same thing I'll repeat here also. This is also important from the exam point of view, because they might ask delegate as non-potest delegate, and they'll give four options, and they tell you which is a correct meaning for this maxim. They'll tell. Then what you will mark if you don't know what it means. So please focus now and listen. Okay. Subagent, no. First of all, you cannot appoint another agent. No. First of all, sorry, original agent is zero. You cannot appoint subagent lawfully unless it is as per custom or trade. So the appointment of the subagent is not lawful because the agent is delegatee, and the delegatee cannot further delegate. So that is the law. Okay, the agent is delegatee and delegate cannot further delegate. Okay, so that is the law. So the meaning of this is, that's what the delegatee cannot further delegate. That is what delegatus non potest delegre. Okay, means. So please remember this. You can just see, it is very easy to remember this maxim. Like face it, I told acting, no, to remember by that keyword. Here also delegatus and delegre is there. Just remember, delegatus means to delegate. So you can't delegate. Potest means non, means you can't delegate. That's what it means. So next, what they're saying is same thing I explained here. The principal delegates the work and he cannot further delegate to his sub-agent. Okay. So like I said, it is a fiduciary character, and it is based on the confidence that by the principal and the agent. So he has delegated, he cannot further delegate. But so this is the important paragraph in this entire part. Okay, the exception where the agent can appoint sub-agent. This is where the questions will come. This is where the ICA will test you. The above part is very simple. You will be able to tell, but this is where the ICA will test you. What they are saying here. So we'll see. So exceptions to where the subagent can appoint the subagent, the agent, sorry. Exceptions to where the original agent can appoint subagent. Exceptions. These are the exceptions. The appointment of a subagent would be valid if the terms of the appointment originally contemplated it. Means it was originally written in the contract that in expressly it is written in the contract of agency that between the principal and agent that he can appoint a subagent. That time he can appoint a subagent. And if it is in the custom of trade, like I said, if it is normally in the custom and trade, if it is like that in the business subagent, they can appoint subagent. Then also they can appoint the he can appoint the original agent can appoint subagents. In both these cases, the subagent will be treated as the agent of the principal. This line is very important from the exam point of view. Why? Because in this case, even if the subagent does any act, now what? See, what is the implication consequence of this sentence? Subagent would be treated as the agent of the principal in both these above cases. It means that if the subagent does some act or something with the deals with the third parties and which is beyond his authority, then the third party can hold the principal responsible for the acts of the subagent. Just like the agent acts will be held responsible by the principal. In these two cases, the principal will be held responsible because he is appointed in proper way. Understood. So next what they are saying is when in the course of the appointment of the agent's employment, unforeseen emergency arise making it necessary for him to delegate the authority that was given to him by the principal. So what they are telling here, it is easily would have from the if you have read it, you will be able would have understood what they are saying. Is of unforeseen emergency, there is no other choice for the agent but to appoint some other person to delegate it to some other person to do the work which he was appointed by the principal to do. See, it is an emergency. Suppose the agent met with an accident, he is in coma, he is in the hospital. That time he can't do the work. So he'll appoint some other person to be the sub-agent who will do the work for the principal. Even in this case, also if the agent does any deals with third party which is beyond his authority, that time if he does, then principal will the third party can held principal liable for the acts of the agent. Just remember that. Next part, what they are saying is a representation of principal by subagent properly appointed. This that as in one of the case studies in the past papers, I have seen the representation of the principal by subagent properly appointed. So what does this mean? From the sentence, I'll break it and I'll break the sentence. I'll make you understand easily. Representation of the principal. That is one. By subagent properly appointed. Means subagent properly is appointed and he represents the principal. So where a sub-agent is properly appointed means just like I told you in the above, like in the above case where it is in custom or trade, or in case is written expressly in the contract, or the principal himself has given the agent the authority to appoint sub-agent. That time he is properly appointed by the principal. That time if he represents the principal in front of the third party, the principal is so far regards as the third person is bound and responsible for the acts of sub-agent if he were as if he were originally appointed by the principal. In that case, like I said, the sub-agent, if he does any act, he will be treated as the original agent, just like the original agent will be treated, like I said. Next, what they are saying in this part, this is very important. The agent's responsibility for sub-agent. Where sub-agent is appointed by the original agent, then it is the original agent's responsibility for the sub-agent. That's what they are saying. The original agent is responsible for the acts of the sub-agent. Is responsible to the principal for the act of subagent. Okay, who is he responsible to? To is principal. Is responsible to principal. Principal will ask the original agent what your subagent has done. So you are held responsible for the acts of your subagent. You will tell the principal. Okay, subagent's liability to principal. Subagent is responsible for his acts to the agent, but not to the principal, except in case of fraud or willful wrong. Case of fraud or willful wrong, he will be held responsible to a principal as well. But if in other cases, he will be held responsible for his act to the agent, but not to the principal. Okay. So please to remember like this, okay, when he deals with a third party and if he is properly appointed the agent, then that time he will be held responsible, principal will be held responsible by the third parties. In case of liability of the subagents to the principal, no, that time subagent is responsible for his acts to the principal, but not his acts to the agent, but not to the principal. Just remember this point. These 2 points are very important from the exam point. I will I I know that this entire paragraph, just read this entire paragraph twice, thrice. Okay, this is very, very important paragraph from the exam point of view. If a case study comes on sub-agent, I can assure you that the case study will come from this part. And in this part also, this two, 3 points are there. I don't know. It is very, very important from the exam point of view. And if you don't understand, please read it 2 times or see this video 2, 3 times. Then you will be able to understand what I'm trying to tell here. You may not understand it based just by saying once. Okay. So next part of the agent's responsibility for sub-agent. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent appointed without authority. See, I can't repeat the same thing again and again here. See, I'll just tell you twice and I'll move on. So you have to see it again, otherwise you will not be able to understand. See, I don't have that much time, enough time. See, even by teaching only this much, it's taking more than 1 hour. So I have to keep going faster, and just I'll repeat it once or twice. Okay. So the two only the part which I think the students might find it tough because they're reading it for the first time. Okay. So what they're saying in this paragraph is also very, very important. What they're saying here is agent's responsibility for the sub-agent. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent appointed without authority. Means the original agent is not given authority in this case to appoint sub-agent. He has appointed sub-agent on his own without the authority of the principal. That's 193. That was 192, I think, right? It will go in one series. Okay, the sections. So where an agent without having the authority to do so appoints a sub-agent, then the agent stands towards such person in a relation of a principal to an agent and is responsible for his acts both to the principal and to third parties. What they are saying in this, you understood this? What they are saying here? They are saying that now the original agent was appointed sub-agent is standing in a position like a principal, like the principal agent. He has become a principal to sub-agent. So he has one he has become principal to sub-agent. Another is that the original agent is responsible for the principal as well as sub-agent. Understood. Here the sub-agent is here the original agent is responsible for the acts of the sub-agent to the principal as well as third parties. Like see, I'll make you understand this in quickly. Quickly, I'll write it what they are saying here. So here the original agent is there. We'll write it as OA. Okay, original agent is there. Okay, he appoints sub-agent. Assuming he appoints sub-agent. Okay, he appoints sub-agent. If he appoints sub-agent, what they're saying is the sub-agent is there. And whatever acts he has done, the original agent is responsible for that to not only to principal P, but also is responsible for the acts of sub-agent to the third parties. That is outsiders. That is outsiders means third parties. For that also will be responsible. So now he is responsible for the two things, one to the principal, one to the third parties, that is third persons, for the acts of sub-agent. Just remember that. Next, what I are saying is the principal here. The keywords are is standing in relation as a principal to agent and is responsible for his acts to both to the principal and to the third person. Next, the principal is not represented by or responsible for the acts of sub-agent. Sub-agent is not responsible to the principal at all. He is answerable only to the agent. Understood? What they're saying here? They're saying that in this case, these 2 points are very, very important. If they ask a question saying that agent's responsibility for the sub-agent appointed without authority, if the case study comes, you have to write these 2 points in that case study. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent appointed without authority. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent appointed without authority. Okay, authority of the principal. That time you have to write these 2 points. They are saying in this one, the second point, that the principal is not responsible, he is not represented by the or is responsible for the acts of sub-agent. Sub-agent is not responsible to the principal at all. Principal won't come here because the principal has not given the authority. So whatever the sub-agent has done, principal has nothing to do with that. Remember, drill that into your mind. Principal has nothing to do with the sub-agent if he is appointed by the original agent. Okay, is answerable only to the agent in that case. That's what they have given analysis. Where sub-agent is properly appointed, sub-agent is appointed, principal is bound by his acts and is therefore responsible to other parties as if he were agent originally appointed by the principal. If the sub-agent is appointed properly means just like those 2 points is that custom or trade, and next thing is expressly given authority and is appointed that time. Where sub-agent is properly appointed, principal is bound by his acts and is treated he is responsible to third parties as if were originally appointed. So that's what they explained in this example. I'll tell the example very quickly. Here there is there is a carrier. Okay, he appoints. He is given one job, like he is given one principal has given him one business or one job, saying that you have to transport these goods to from one place to another place by a truck. So he assigned a task to sub agent like B and another carrier to carry the goods. What happened is the goods were damaged in their transit. So now A will be held responsible. A was liable to principal because the principal doesn't know, he has not given the authority to the original agent to appoint sub agent. So if he is appointed, then A will was held liable even though it was proved that B was the carrier. Even if he is the carrier, A was held liable even though it was proved that B was the carrier. Okay, understood. Okay, I know this is not related. It doesn't sound like it is related. It's like they've given it half and off this example. Actually, they should have given it three parts. There is one principal, he has appointed agent, and the agent has appointed sub agent. Sub agent has done something wrong or they did some injury to the goods, and the sub agent is responsible. The original agent is liable, even though it was proved that the sub agent has done the damage. Okay, like that. They have given this example. Next, coming to next part, what they are saying here is in case of appointment without authority. In case of appointment without authority, first one was he was properly appointed. In case of without authority means what happens? Principal has nothing to do with that. So principal will say, see, I have not given you authority. If you have appointed someone, I don't know what I have done. So, but I will only, you are only responsible to me because in this contract, what we have entered, I have not given you the authority of appointing sub agent. So, your original agent, you will be responsible for whatever the acts which you have done or your appointed person has done. Okay, that's what the principal will say. So the subagent takes where the authority of subagent takes place without authority, then principal is not bound by the acts of subagent. Subagent is not answerable to the principal at all. The agent who is the principal of subagent, in our original agent is the principal of subagent. Where subagent does any act no, in the name of the first principal, that first principal may ratify the act of subagent. Now this sentence, what they are telling, you understood. That is in the what they are told here, it's fine. You understood. Principal is not responsible. If agent, original agent has appointed sub-agent without the authority. But in these two sentences, what they are telling is very, very important. Suppose the sub-agent no, who is appointed without the authority of the principal, if he does an act in front of, if he does deals with the third party, saying that he represents the first principal means the original agent's principal, then the first principal, he has the authority to whether to ratify the act of the sub-agent or not. Say principal can say first principal means the not the original agent. First principal is that the original agent's principal. He can either accept whatever the act which sub-agent has done in the name of the first principal, or he can deny that. It is up to him. So I till here I have been telling you that if he is appointed without the authority of the principal, the original agent has appointed sub-agent. Principal has nothing to do with that. But what happened here is sub-agent he went to some third party and he said, I belong to the first principal. I'm representing the first principal. So since he has only drawn him in his dealing with the third party, now the first principal has choice whether to accept, ratify it, or to cancel it. Ratify means approving. We had read no one of the modes ratification by ratification. So if you remember what ratification means, to approve. So I hope you remember to approve, to consent. Okay. Now, next thing is what they are saying here. However, if the sub-agent acts in his own name or in the name of the agent who has without authority delegated to the sub-agent the business which is in fact of the principal cannot ratify such act of sub-agent. See, this is also very important what they're saying here. Here, what they're saying is sub-agent acts in his own name or in the name of the agent who has appointed him, the original agent, delegated to sub-agent, the business, which is in fact of the principal. The principal cannot ratify such act of the sub-agent. You understood? You understood what they're saying. Sub-agent, no, he does something on his own or in the name of the original agent which he has appointed, not first principal. So that's a case, and the business which he is doing is belongs to the first principal. But first principal did not come here. He did not say he's representing the first principal. Here he is representing the business of the first principal, but which is given to the original agent. So here in this case, the principal cannot ratify means he cannot approve such acts of the sub-agent. He cannot approve only here. Here he had a choice. In principle may approve here. He may ratify the act of sub-agent. Understood? He may ratify here. But in this case, he cannot ratify. I'll explain it in a very simple manner, both these things. It is very important from the exam point of view. I am repeating it again. These two sentences they will ask you in the exam, and they can turn and confuse you in this. So please understand this carefully right now, what they are saying. In the first case, what happened? Let's assume this is the first case, and this is, however, part second case. Okay. In first case, what they are telling is sub-agent. No, he went to some third party and he told him that I am representing. He purportedly acts in the name of the first principal. That's what's saying here. He said that he am representing the first principal only, not the business. He's representing the first principal only. He's saying that time the first principal has the choice whether to accept the acts of sub-agent or to deny it. He may act. He may ratify. That's what they're saying. May means he may reject it. He may accept it. He may ratify the act of sub-agent. He may deny it. See, I'm spending time in this because it is very important from the exam point of view. Still, I'm going fast. But you have to see this minimum, how many times you want to see it, but you understand the concept, okay? Then what they are saying is second case is if the sub-agent acts in his own name or in the name of the agent who has without the authority delegated. Suppose in the second case, what they're saying is sub-agent, I am sub-agent. I went to some third party and I am representing myself own self and I'm selling the business, doing some business. Or I'm telling that I am appointed by some agent, original agent. No, I'm saying that original agent, that agent has appointed me and I'm doing the business. But the business which I'm doing, no, this business belongs to the first principal. But I'm not telling that I'm representing the first principal. I'm doing the business which belongs to the first principal. So the principal cannot ratify that sub-agent. I hope you have understood that. That's all I want. Teachers don't spend too much time on this chapter, but I am spending so much time on this chapter because it is very important and very scoring and very easy. Direct questions will come, and if you miss this chapter, you are on your own fault. You are the cause for your own failure. And if you see those students who are scoring very low in theory, no, this is because they don't study these chapters. They'll study things that have more weightage. These chapters have less weightage, but the questions will be direct and it will be easy, like 5 marks, 10 marks. They ask, no, even for 6 7 marks. I think from the point of view, when you have scored, those person who has scored 34, that person who has scored 37, so even those 4 marks, 6 marks matters to that person who is close to that time. How you will feel when you see the paper, when you see your marks record, if you've just gotten so less, like close to passing. So you have to focus right now and you have to see. That's why I'm telling you I'm spending time on this chapter. Okay. Now it's up to you whether you want to utilize this video or not. See, I am doing my part of the work. Whether you want to see this video and you want to understand, you want to go and write in your exams, it's up to you whether you want to do or not. Okay, I am doing my part of here. Okay. Next, coming to this, what they are telling in this substituted agent. This what we are reading till now was sub-agent. Now next part is substituted agent. Substituted agent and sub-agent are two different things. So please focus now. Substituted agent is person appointed by the agent to act for the principal in the business of the agency with the knowledge and consent of the principal. See, why I'm teaching directly from this is, see, I can tell you what is sub-agent directly, what is substituted agent directly, and what he has done, how he is appointed, and what is the difference between sub-agent and substituted agent. Because in exam, the examiner will see the keywords which is there in the material that which he has received, and he'll give you the marks. So I have to teach you based on the keywords which they have used, and that's why I'm telling the reading the sentence what they have given in the Institute Math, so that when you're at least listening to my video, at least when you are seeing my video, you will be able to remember these keywords in your exam when you're writing, and so that it will come to your mind when you're writing in your exam. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay. So now focus. So what they're saying in there is substituted, not substituted. Substituted agent means he is the person who is appointed by the agent to act for the principal. He is also appointed by the agent, but to act for the principal here. Remember, sub-agent was, first of all, he was not allowed to be appointed. But if he is appointed by original agent only. Both the cases, sub-agent, substitute agent, appointed by original agent. But here, he doesn't act, substitute agent doesn't act for the principal. Okay, he's appointed by original agent, but he's doing the act for the principal in the business of agency with the knowledge and consent of the principal. He's doing it. So he has expressly principal has given the authority to the original agent to appoint a substituted agent with the knowledge and consent of the principal. Substituted agents or not sub-agents. Substituted agents or not sub-agents. Just remember, get understand the meaning of the word. Sub. Sub means subparticle delta. No. Sub means branch. Branch. So principal is there, next agent is there, below that sub agent is. Sub means branch. Substitute. They'll tell you in your when you're if you have heard this term in your college when suppose one teacher had not come now that time they'll tell you this is a substituted teacher has come for this teacher. Substituted means this teacher will also teach you economics, but he has substituted the teacher who teaches the economics generally in your class. Suppose Mr. A teaches you economics and daily, but Mr. B has come right now, but he substituted Mr. A. Understood? He is substitution. Understood. And substituted teacher is granted permissions by the college itself to teach. So think like the substituted Mr. See, principal is there. He has appointed Mr. A. No, Mr. A. He has given him the authority, Mr. A. agent, to appoint Mr. C. as the person who is a substituted agent for the original agent. Principal has only given the authority. So now we will be able to, with clarity, if you keep this example while I'm teaching this substituted agent, you will be able to understand it even better now. What they are telling is substituted agents are not sub-agents. They are the agents of the principal. Relation between the principal and person duly appointed by the agent to act in the business of agency, section 194. Relation between the principal and person duly appointed by the agent to act in the business of agency, that is substituted agent only. So where an agent holding an express or implied authority to name another person to act for the principal in the business of the agency. Like I said, he is given the authority to appoint a substituted agent here. The sub agent is not given authority. Sub agent means he is sub, so you are appointing another person. So it's up to you in that case. Here I'm substituting, you're given authority to substitute some other person for yourself. Mr. A is only substituted another economics teacher for Mr. B to teach. Okay, like that. So principle of the agency. So what I was teaching. So holding here the agent as the express or implied authority name another person for the principal to do in the business of agency, and as named another person accordingly, the other person is not sub-agent and to by but an agent for the principal as for the business of agency as is interested to him. So that's what they are saying. Same thing they're repeating again and again. So what these examples are very important. They can ask you an exam and you might confuse it to a sub-agent with substituted agent, and you may get confused and you will write the wrong thing. So listen to this carefully. What they are telling here. A directs B is solicitor to sell his estate by auction and to employ an auctioneer for the purpose. Here, A is only principal is only telling his agent to employ an auctioneer for the purpose of selling his estate. So he is only telling him here, to point. Even sub-agent, he told he has given him the authority, but only in few cases it was given. So here, substitute agent is given the original agent to point substitute agent. And one more thing here, their original agent will be given orders whenever principal was giving. But here, the original agent will be out of the picture only when substitute agent comes. See what happens here. So assume, okay, this is a real example. Assume, okay, A principal, no, he directs B solicitor to sell. Yeah, let's spend at least 5 minutes in this. A directs B is solicitor to sell his estate by auction. No, he suppose the principal has told his original agent to sell his estate and told him to employ some auctioneer. So now what happens is B names some other person, C, as an auctioneer to conduct the sale, and C is not a sub-agent but is A's agent for the conduct of sale. See now the B, the original solicitor, the agent, is out of the picture only because A, C will deal with A and he'll put it in auction, he'll sell the property, and whatever the proceed comes, he'll give it to A. And what is the work of B now? B, he'll take his commission, he'll move off. When he appoints substitute agent, he's out of the picture only. Just remember like that, okay? So what they're telling in next example is A authorizes B, merchant in Kolkata, to recover money due to A from C and Co. B instructs D, a solicitor, to take legal proceedings against C and Co. To take legal proceedings against C and Co for the career recovery of the money. D is not a sub-agent but is a solicitor for A. What they're saying here is principal authorized some agent, okay, a merchant, okay, in Kolkata to recover some money which is due to him from some company. What B does is he tells another person D, he instructs him, a solicitor, to take legal proceedings against such company for the recovery of the money. D is not a sub-agent here, but he is a solicitor for A. See, here two things are happening in example 20 and 21. What is happening is, in first case, the agent was a solicitor. In second case, the substituted agent is a solicitor. Understood what they are doing here. In both the cases, but it is a case of substituted agent. They are both not the sub-agents. They are both substituted agents. Understood. Because see, in the second case as well, once the B is appointed D, the solicitor, the D will recover the money and will give it to B, and B will give it to A. Or directly is appointed D, no, D will only deal with it and he'll get the money and he'll give it directly to A. But he is solicitor for A. See, that's what they're telling me. He's solicitor for A. He'll give it directly to A. So that's what is happening. See, this is a bit confusing. Okay, say sub-agent of substitute agent. You have to read it at least 2-3 times to understand what they are saying here. If you read what is the meaning, no, at least see what is the meaning, and with the example which I told for the substituted and sub, the meaning for what sub means, what substituted means, you are through at least 50% because you would have understood the concept. Just you have to remember the keywords which is there in this chapter. Okay, what there in the part. Next, what they're telling is next part will go. We'll go quickly now. So, agent's duty in naming such person, section 195. In selecting such agent, substitute agent for the principal, an agent is bound to exercise the same amount of discretion as a man of ordinary prudence would exercise in his own case. And if he does this, he is not responsible to principal for the acts or negligence of the agent so selected. See, for that also they have given two examples. These two examples are very, very important compared to example 20 and 21. Why I'll tell you in this bit. Why? Because see, what through example only I'll tell. In these two examples, what happens is there is a principle just like that, and just like that means okay. In these two examples, what happens is there is a principal. He instructs B, same thing, a merchant to buy a ship for him. And B, what he does to buy ship for him? No, B he does not deal with ships. Okay, so he employs a ship surveyor for the good of good reputation to choose a ship for A, and the surveyor makes the choice negligently, and the ship turns out to be unworthy for C, and is lost. B is not, but the surveyor is responsible to A. You understood this. Suppose you assume, okay, you are the auditor of a particular company. This example will make you understand this even better. See, you are the auditor of a particular company, but you did all the work which is as per the accounting standards, auditing standards. See, these topics will come in your inter. You will study in your subject called audit. Okay, in audit it is there. The auditor has to do the work as per the auditing standards, in line with the auditing standards, as per the norms, and with ethics and independence of mind, all that he did everything as per the auditing standards on auditing, as per the essays. But what happened is, in spite of that, it turned out that the company was in fault, or something defaulted, something fraud or something, some cheating had happened, some mishap happened. Okay, and company got notice or something happened. In such a case, the auditor cannot be held responsible. Why? Because he had done his work properly. Suppose if he had done it negligently, no. If auditor had done his work negligently, that time we can hold him responsible. But otherwise, we can't claim that company cannot claim that the auditor is responsible for the notice or something like that. See, auditor has done his work diligently and do as per the standards on auditing and proper skill, ethics, and questioning mind, and everything has done as per the ethics. That time he can be held responsible for the company. So just like that, in this case, A instructed B merchant to buy a ship for him, and B with proper due diligence, he appointed another person who employs a ship surveyor with good reputation also to choose ship. In spite of that, if he surveyor makes negligent choice and ship turns out to be bad, then B cannot be held responsible, but surveyor is responsible to A. because he has done his work properly. This is easy example you will also will tell. Next thing what they are telling is A consigner consigns goods to B merchant for sale. B in due course employs an auctioneer in good credit to sell the goods for A. Allows the auctioneer to receive the proceeds of sale. The auctioneer afterwards becomes insolvent without having accounted for the proceeds. B is not responsible to A for the proceeds here as well. See, here also B is done his work properly, diligently. He is not responsible for what he has done because see, he is employed an auctioneer with a good credit also. See, if they have told that he employed an auctioneer or something negligently, if he had done no, that time you could have told that B is responsible. If they are telling us that he had appointed an auctioneer with good credit, he has done his research and analysis and everything, and he has appointed some survey auctioneer or survey in the, for example in example 22 with good credit, then that time the B cannot be held responsible. So B is not responsible for the to A for the proceeds. Okay, understood. These things can come as case study. Please remember to read this at least 2 times. Okay, next I'll jump to difference between subagent and substitute agent. That is easy, but you have to read it twice, otherwise you can get confused between substitute agent and subagent. At least these differences will make it clear now. Okay, if a case study comes on subagent or substitute agent, if you can't tell, at least these differences will help right now. Okay, both subagent and substitute agent are appointed by the agent. Like I said, original agent only will appoint both subagent and substitute agent. So, over the following points of distinction between them. Subagent does his work. So, first, subagent, he does the work under the control and directions of the agent. And substitute agent works under the instructions of the principal. This is general point, that is meaning of a subagent substitute agent. The subagent not only appoints the agent not only appoints subagent but also delegates to him a part of his own duties. The agent does not delegate any part of his task to a substitute agent. You understood now? He is not delegating his part of the work to substitute agent. Here he is giving another person another work only, another task as per the present does. Substitute agent is not given the part of any of the duties which the original agent has. He is given separate tasks. So next, subagent, there is no privity of contract between the principal and the subagent. Privity of contract is there between the original agent and principal, but not the privity of contract is not there between the principal and subagent, because the subagent is not appointed by the principal. No, it is not. He is not appointed by the principal. Subagent is not appointed by the principal. That's why there is no privity of contract between them. Privity of contract is established between the principal and the substitute agent, because the principal has only with his knowledge and consent, the substitute agent has been appointed. He does only those acts which the principal will tell, not the what the original agent who has appointed him will tell. Okay. Next, the subagent is responsible to the agent alone and is not generally responsible to the principal. Okay, sub-agent is responsible to the agent alone and not to the principal. Substitute agent is responsible to the principal, opposite of sub-agent. He is responsible to principal, not to the original agent who is appointed. Just think that the difference is, just remember one side. Like if you remember only what are the points for sub-agent, you can write the opposite of sub-agent to substitute agent. So that is what the difference is. But you have to remember at least 5 points, because in the exam they will ask, and you have to write as per the keywords which I have given here. You can't write it in your own sentence. Even if you write your own sentence with keywords, you have to write the same thing. Subagent, no. Next point is subagent is the agent is responsible to the principal for the acts of subagent. In this case, he is not responsible for the principal, because the principal instructions of principal only substitute agent will listen. Acts of substitute agent. And subagent has no right of action against the principal. He has no right of action against the principal for remuneration due to him. This is very, very important, because subagent has no right of action against the subagent is there. No, he has no right of action against the principal for the remuneration which he has not received, salary which he has not received. He has to go and ask the original agent, not the principal, because principal, see, principal and subagent, they don't know that both of them exist only. Because to a subagent, the principal, the original agent is the principal. It's like subletting. No, like suppose the tenant owner gives the one of the flat to rent, and the rent per rent the tenant gives it to sublet, he sublets it. So for subletter, that person, he'll think the person who has given him the property and rent is the owner only. He doesn't know that there is another owner who exists. So principal doesn't know that subagent exists. So subagent can't go and ask that principal for remuneration. He doesn't know. He'll tell who are you, who I don't even know you. Get lost in tell. Subagent, substituted agent can sue the principal for remuneration due to him. And subagents may be improperly appointed. Substituted agents can never be improperly appointed. They can never be improperly appointed. And what else is there? Like they cannot be improperly appointed substitute agents. The agent remains liable for the acts of subagent as long as the subagency continues, and the agent's duty ends once as named substitute agent. I told you, remember one point I told when I was teaching substitute agent. Substitute, once the agent does his work of appointing a substituted agent, once the original agent appoints substituted agent, the original agent is out of the picture. He doesn't come at all. He will take his salary remuneration, he'll just go. He'll tell substitute agent, you and principal, you do whatever you want. My work is over, he'll tell and he'll go. So once the original agent does this part of the work, substituted agent is responsible. So the original agent is out of the picture. Just remember that. And in this case of subagent, the agent remains liable for the acts of subagent as long as subagency continues. Means until the original agent ends his contract with subagent, the until it ends it, until then he will be held responsible. Okay, agent will be held responsible. Next, what are the duties and obligations of the agent? This is very easy. We'll do it fast. What are the duties and obligations of the agent? Generally, what is there? You only tell. He has to conduct the business, he has to maintain the accounts, he has to communicate with the principal, he has to have reasonable skill and care, and he has to execute mandate, he has to remit sums, and he duty not to make secret profits means he can't make profits out of the whatever the profit which whatever the money he is getting for sale or for doing the business of the principal. Out of that he can't secret the profit, he can't take profit from the profit of the principal. He duty not to delegate. There just now he said what is the duty. He has the duty not to delegate his work to another subagent, and he has a duty to avoid conflict of interest means there should be not be a conflict of interest. Okay, all these points we will read it one by one fast now, and all these points are very very important from the exam point of view. At least you have to remember 5 points, and those 5 points you should remember just like how they are given here. Just remember these points directly here. You can make one, what do you call it? Wrote it's mnemonic. You can make one mnemonic to remember this whatever they have given here, this points. But one important thing what you have to remember here is you have to write the points just like this main headings. Same thing what they've given here is just like that you have to write sad, but it's what it is there because the institute won't give you marks unless you write the same thing what they've given here. Like you have to write duty to execute mandate, duty to avoid conflict of interest, duty of reasonable care and skill, duty to conduct business in accordance with directions given by the principal, duty to communicate with the principal, duty not to make secret profits, duty to remit sums, duty to maintain accounts, duty not to delegate. All these points you have to write just like how it is given here, but inside things you can change. Like we'll read it right now, and we'll understand each thing fast, and you can write it on your own with some of the words just like how they are given here. So next, we'll now discuss the duties. Duty to execute mandate. Mandate. So first and foremost duty of every agent is to carry out the mandate of his principal. Mandate means whatever the work duty which the principal has given. No, it is his duty to perform the duty, to perform the work for which he has been appointed, the business for which he is appointed. Any failure in this respect would make a agent absolutely responsible for principal's loss. This is one case law which they have given. You don't have to remember. Pannalal, Jangindas versus Mohanlal. In this case, what happened is a commission agent purchased goods for his principal and stored them in the godown pending for their dispatch. The agent was under the instruction to insure them, but he did not insure. He actually charged the sum, but he did not insure it and failed to insure. So the godown got fire, goods were destroyed in the explosion on the harbor. The agent was held liable to compensate the principal for his loss minus the amount which is received from the bomb explosion compensation. The principal received some compensation. The compensation, since he has received no, he told the agent, you need not pay that, but you have to pay me whatever the loss which I have incurred other than the compensation. Like you deduct the compensation from the loss, amount of loss, and you pay me the remaining loss, balance loss like that. Okay. Next is duty to follow instructions or customs. So section 211, an agent is bound to conduct the business of his principal according to the directions given by the principal. In the absence of any such directions according to the custom which prevails in the business of doing of same kind. So it is duty to follow the instructions customs means you have to follow the customs and instructions given by the principal where the agent conducts such business. So when the agent acts otherwise and any loss is sustained, then he obviously has to indemnify the principal. Principal will not bear the loss because he has given you the authority to do his work. No, so you will bear the loss for him. If you have done by mistake some, you have incurred loss. So if any profit accrues, he must account for it. So example 24 and example 25, what they're saying in this is same thing what they have told in the above instructions on customs. So an agent is engaged for managing the business of B, in which it is custom to invest the money at the end of the year and for interest. Just now I told about investment. So an agent is engaged in managing the business of B. Okay, so principal. It is in that it is custom to invest the money for the and for interest. If A omits to make such investment, we must indemnify B for the losses. Principal had given him the business of investment, but he did not invest the money. Means if the losses made losses for principal, he has to give it back. Then the next example, what they're telling is there be a broker is there whose business is not custom to sell on credit, sells goods of A on credit to C. C before payment no becomes insolvent. B will have to indemnify A for the losses what they are selling in this example. Be a broker is their news business. It is not the custom to sell on credit, but he sells the goods of A on credit to C. So C before payment becomes insolvent only. So B will have to indemnify A for the losses. Obviously, you have made me loss and you went above the authority which was given to you by the principal, the agent, and you later on that even by going beyond authority, that other person, third party caused me loss because of that. Now you will give me the loss which I have incurred. That's what the principal will tell. Next, what they are saying is duties of reasonable care and skill. Section 212. Agent is bound to conduct the business of principal with skill and generally possessed by the persons engaged in similar business unless the principal has notice of his want for skill. Okay, the agent is always bound to act with reasonable diligence to use such skill which he possesses to make compensation to his principal for in case of direct consequence of his own neglect or misconduct, anything like that. Okay, or in case of in respect of loss of damage which are indirectly or remotely caused by such neglect and or want of skill or misconduct. Okay, this example will understand what they're saying. Okay, just read it once and you will be able to remember what is there and can write in your own. Okay, just use 2 3 words at least, it's fine. But main headings what I told, just like duty of reasonable skill and care, you have to write just like what they've given here. You can't skip that. Okay, next, what they're saying in this example is A merchant is there and he has an agent B in London, to whom a sum of money is paid on A's account with orders to remit. Okay, a merchant in Kolkata, he has an agent in London, and to whom the sum of money is paid on A's account. A's account has paid him money with orders to remit it. B retains the money for considerable time. A, in consequence of not receiving the money, becomes insolvent and B is liable for the money and interest from the day on which he was ought to have been paid according to the usual rate and for further loss if further direct loss if there is any by variation of rate of exchange but not further. Okay, what they are saying in this example, it's very easy. See, there is one principal who is there and there is some other agent who is there in a foreign country. He told him that give me some of money which is there in my account, which is paid in on my account with orders to remit that to that agent, he told. But what that agent, it's like you appointed some agent in the foreign country to sell your goods. Okay, whatever proceeds he has made, not he has deduct his commission, he has to give it to the person, to me, to you, or who has for which you have appointed that agent. But what he did was he didn't remit it on time, so you suffered you became insolvent, and the consequence is you became insolvent. Okay, so now in such a case, the person, the agent, no, he is liable to give you the money and also along with the interest from the day on which you told him that you have to give me by this date. So from the day which he has not given, from that date till when he gave, or till that day, it will be considered interest will be charged according to the usual rate. That's what they are saying here. Next example, what they are saying is A, an agent for sale of goods having authority to sell on credit, sells to B on credit without making the proper and usual inquiries as to insolvency of B. B at the time of the sale is insolvent. A must compensate his principal for the loss sustained by him. So I read it fast, but I'll tell you what they are saying. See, I'm reading from the example once because at least the wordings will go to your mind and you will at least know this example came from the book. At least you will be know when you read the question in the exam. So that's why I read and then I'll tell you what it is. We'll explain. See, an agent for sale of the goods having authority to sell on credit. Here he had the agent no. Here he had the authority to sell the goods on credit and she sells on credit without making proper user inquiries. We told no, if the person no, if the agent, if he does not make proper or usual inquiries, whether if he does not do his due diligence, skill and care, if he does not apply, no, that's what it is happening here. He's not applying skill and care, he's doing it negligently, the agent, by which he caused a loss to the principal. By being an idiot, by being a fool, he made a loss to his principal. So by selling the goods on credit to a person who is insolvent, so he could not pay the money only. So now he'll have to compensate the principal for the loss. Now, next example is there is an insurance broker employed by B to effect an insurance on the ship. He omits to see that the usual clauses are inserted in the policy. So the person you appointed to, suppose you appointed an agent for to and told him to get an insurance on a particular ship which you had, he did not see the clauses which is there in the insurance only. He just accepted the insurance and he gave it to something into gave it to some insurance company. Ship is afterwards lost. In the consequence of omission, nothing can be recovered from the underwriters. So A is bound to make the good loss to the B. Just remember the examples which you are hearing right now. You don't have to force yourself to understand each and every word. You just remember the examples generally. Okay. Because it is very simple examples. You only can tell the conclusion of this case study if it comes also. You can't you tell there is an insurance broker is employed by B to effect an insurance on a ship. So if we have appointed a person insurance broker to for a particular job, and if he does not do his work properly, then obviously we'll ask him to give your money back, no, which he has caused. So same thing it is happened, and this is also very important what they are told here in this example. A is there a merchant who directs B, his agent at Mumbai, who accepts the agency to send him 100 bales of cotton by a certain ship. B, having in his power to send the cotton, omits to do so. Agent, he did not send only, told him to send principal, but did not send only. The ship arrives safely in England. Soon after arrival, the price of the cotton rises. B is bound to make good to A the profit which he might have made by selling 100 bales of cotton at the time the ship arrived, but not any profits he might have made by subsequent rise. Okay. So what they are telling is, the principal, no, he told in England, he told him to give 100 bales of cotton. This I'm trying to explain because you might have not understood. This you would have understood that he did not send, agent did not send him the cotton. So as a result, he could not make profit out of that business which he wanted to do in the cotton. So when the ship arrived in England, no, that time the prices of the cotton after arrival, the price of the cotton raised, but the profit which he could have made from the rise of the cotton prices, no, for that he won't have to compensate the agent. But for the 100 bales of cotton, which he could have made generally the profit which he made up by the 100 bales of cotton at the time the ship arrived. No, at the time when the ship arrived, that profit he has to make good the agent. Okay, that's what they're saying. Read it once on your own, you'll be able to understand. It's very simple. Okay. Next, what they are telling in this one is agent's duty to communicate with the principal, section 214. See, I'm teaching each and everything, so I don't have time to tell you like explain more than once or twice. Okay, so please don't expect me to tell you sit and tell each word meaning and tell you what is there. Okay, you have to read it on your own at least one at least once, then only you'll be able to understand. If you not see my video 2 3 times, you will be able to understand. Agent's duty to communicate with the principal. So obviously, it is duty to agent means he has to properly communicate with the principal. No, to use all the reasonable diligence with communicating with his agents and seeking to obtain his instructions. Also, yes. Then duty to avoid conflict of interest, duty not to deal on his own account. This is very very important. It was asked many times in the exams, like many times. It is very very important from the exam point of view. And if you skip this point, no, you lose out marks so dearly in your exams that I can't even tell, because it will come either for 5 marks or something like that, and you lose out on these 5 marks. So what they are telling here in this duty to avoid conflict of interest. Right of the principal when the agent deals on his own account in the business of agency without principal's consent. Section 215. So what they are saying is the right of the principal when agent deals on his own account in the business of agency without principal's consent. Means principal has given him certain authority, but he is going beyond that and he is dealing it or dealing with the particular third parties on his own account. Okay. In such a case, if the agent deals on his own account in the business of the agency, business which he has been appointed to on his own, without first obtaining the consent of his principal and acquainting him with all the material circumstances which have come to his knowledge on subject, then the principal may repudiate the transaction, means cancel the transaction only. Principal has right to cancel the transaction if the agent does on his own account the principal's business without consulting with the principal about and letting him know what are all the material circumstances. That is why he has to communicate properly with the principal. He has to obtain or use reasonable due diligence and seek his obtain his instructions. Here he is not obtaining his instructions only, and which he has come to his knowledge on subject. And so principal may repudiate the transaction. The case shows either that any of the material fact been dishonestly concealed from him by the agent, or the dealing of the agent have been disadvantageous for him. So if he finds out that the principal finds out that the principal, if the principal finds out that any material fact which has been dishonestly concealed by the from him by the agent is like fraud only, is concealing from the principal. The dealings of the agent have been disadvantageous to him. Suppose you could have sold it for 120 rupees and he sold it for 100 rupees, and he told him that he could only sell it for 100 rupees, and principal comes to know that he could have sold it for 120 rupees. That time it was disadvantageous to principal. No, that what the agent did, that's what they're telling. The dealing of the agent was disadvantageous to him, or he dishonestly concealed the fact. Means he knew that he could have sold it for 120, he sold it for 100. That time also he dishonestly concealed from the principal. No, that's what they are trying to tell. That time you can cancel the transaction. So that is like you can tell the answer directly generally, but these keywords, now further you have to read what they are telling. In this example, that's what they've explained. This example had come as directly in the exam as a case study. I'll even discuss that case study in my video on past years question papers, which I'll discuss now. That video I'll discuss this example, same example has come in the your exam as well. Okay, that time I'll tell you. I'll even tell the how I would explain this in this video as well. Okay. A directs B to sell A's estate. Okay. A directs B means A told his agent to sell his estate. B buys the estate for himself in the name of C. Even he is using a fake name to you buy it on his own. And A, on discovering that B has bought the estate for himself, he may repudiate, means cancel the sale if he can show that B has dishonestly concealed any material fact or the sale was been disadvantageous to him. Understood. This is a very simple example which you can tell, and you can, if you read it once more, you'll be able to understand. What happened is he used a fake name to buy it on his own, the principal's estate, and if the principal finds out that he agent did this dishonestly or concealed it or disadvantageous him, and the price which he paid not to buy, no, that time you can cancel the contract or transaction. Next, what they're telling is A directs B to sell A's estate. Same. B, on looking over the estate before selling it, agent was looking the estate looking after the estate. That time, before selling of the principal's estate for which he has been directed, he finds a mine on the estate. This is the important thing. Finds a mine on the estate which is unknown to A. Which is unknown to A. This is also very important. Which is not yet known to A. B informs A that he wishes to buy the estate for himself. He is not informed that there is a mine in the estate. He will tell that he wants to buy it for himself, but conceals the fact that there was a mine in the estate. A allows B to buy in ignorance of the existence. This is also key word which they are telling. In ignorance of existence of the mine, A and discovering B knew of the mine time he bought the estate may either repudiate or accept the sale or his option. What they are telling is you understood, no, he found a mine agent, but he did not tell principal. So he informed only that he wants to buy it for himself. He is like, okay, someone is buying, no, it doesn't matter if his agent only is buying. So he allows him to buy in ignorance of the existence of the mine. He, on discovering that he knew of the mine at the time he bought the estate, no, he may either repudiate or accept the sale at his option. It is up to principal now whether you want to cancel the transaction itself or to get back the estate or to accept the what sale has happened. for that price only. Next, what they are telling here is, this is also very important concept, the principal's right to benefit gained by agent dealing on his own account in the business of agency. Okay, I'll tell you what they are saying. Through this, we'll understand. Section 216. Okay, I'll first explain through an example, then we'll go to what they're telling the provision. That time we'll be able to understand the provision even better, because this provision is a little bit tricky means it's not easy to understand unless you know through an example. It's very easy to understand. Example, what they're saying is, A directs B, his agent, to buy a certain house for him. He told his agent to get him some house, okay, to buy him some house. B tells A that it cannot be bought and buys the house for himself. See, what happened is, you suppose you are principal and you told your agent to buy certain house for you, and you showed the house also. But what the agent told you is that that house can't be bought because of some problem, something he told, and he buys the house later on for himself. And later on, you come to know that, on discovering that your agent has bought the house, and you can compel him to sell it to you at a price he gave for it. Means you can compel your agent to give the house to you for a price for which he bought it, so that he also does not suffer loss, no, like that. Okay, that's what they are telling here. The principal, no. Here the agent made profits for himself. Principal's right to benefit gained by the agent dealing on his own account in the business of agency. He dealt on his own account, no, in the agency, without the knowledge of the principal. Deals in the business of agency on his own account instead of the account of his principal. Principal is entitled to claim from the agent any benefit which he may have resulted to him from the transaction. That's what they are trying to tell here. So next duty, what they are telling here is, I'll go fast. Okay, these are all very simple. This one was a little bit tricky, means it's hard to understand unless you read it 2 or 3 times. If you read it after seeing my video, if you read on your own, you'll be able to understand. Otherwise, to see my video like 2 or 3 times, it will be available on the YouTube. So next, what they are telling, duty not to make secret profit, means the agent cannot make secret profits. So like I said, out of the profits of this profits of the agency, secret profit of this agency, in the business of agency, you cannot make secret profits. This relation with the principal is of fiduciary nature, means it is a contract of trust. So this requires absolute good faith in the conduct of the agency. Secret profits means any advantage obtained by the agent over and above his agreed remuneration, which he would not have been able to make unless for his position as an agent. Understood? That's what is secret profit. They have even explained what secret profit means. You can understand it, just read it once on your own. A duty to render proper accounts means he is bound to prepare proper accounts to his principal on demand. And rendering the accounts means does not mean showing the accounts, but the accounts supported by the vouchers. Anand Prasad versus Dwarkanath. This is very important, because they might make a case study and saying that agent rendered the account means he showed the accounts to his principals and he obtained his consent on something like that. But it is important that he should not only show the accounts, but his account should match the vouchers, should be supported by vouchers. Remember, we are auditors, so we always check for the vouchers whether it was properly vouched or not. Okay, duty not to delegate means section 190, the agent cannot lawfully employ to perform his act. That means he cannot delegate his work. That's what we told now, unless it is as per same thing what we told in sub-agent. Agent's duty to pay sums received for the principal means whatever the money which he will receive from the business of agency, he has to give it to the principal. To pay his principal all sums which he has received on his account, on the principal's account. Duty not to use confidential information received in the course of the agency against the principal means, suppose he gains some confidential information about his client or something about the principal. No, he can't use that information against the principal. It is very important. Okay, next, coming to rights. Finally, we'll come to rights of an agent. Okay, I'll just discuss this fast now, because it is easy. What is rights? His right to remuneration, his right to retain out of the sums received on the principal's account. This was asked in your exams, because suppose they'll tell in one case study that principal, what happened is, the agent, what happened is, in the business of agency he got some money like around 100 rupees, and his commission is 20 rupees. He gets his salary or commission or remuneration, he keeps 20 rupees and gives the principal 80 rupees. But that does not mean that he has defrauded the principal, or he has cheated the principal of 100 rupees, because it's his normal remuneration which he is receiving. Okay, that's why. Next right is agents lien on principal's property, then right of indemnification for the lawful acts, and right of indemnification against the acts done in good faith. So these are the rights of the agent, and this right is very important. And right termination is okay, it's simple. And agents lien on principal's property is important. Right of indemnification for lawful acts is important, and right of indemnification against the acts done in good faith is very important.